Yeah, so this verse is saying, whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So it's something right there about the afterlife. We have a consciousness, and that consciousness is deciding where we go after we quit the body. Yeah. So this afterlife is dependent on our consciousness, in other words. So Prabhupada is saying, in the purport here, he says, the process of changing one's nature at the critical moment of death is here explained. A person who at the end of his life quits his body thinking of Krishna attains the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord, but it is not true that the person who thinks of something other than Krishna attains the same transcendental state. This is a point we should note very carefully. How can one die in the proper state of mind? Yeah, this is like the whole Bhakti Yoga practice is about this.
Yeah. All this moment.
It's building up to the you can say final exam. Yeah. So Prabhupada is giving the example here now of a person whose story is told in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a Maharaj Bharata. Although a great personality, he thought of a deer at the end of his life, and so in his next life he was transferred into the body of a deer. Although as a deer he remembered his past activities, he had to accept that animal body. Of course, one's thoughts during the course of one's life accumulate to influence one's thoughts at the moment of death. What did he say? Of course, one's thoughts during the course of one's life accumulate to influence one's thoughts at the moment of death. So this life creates one's next life. So these are called samskaras. So Prabhupada is saying here that we are accumulating, just like when we're dreaming. When we're dreaming, we're digesting samskaras, impressions. Like I don't remember, I don't dream about, I don't need to digest that I was scratching my head, because it's not a great impression. But if people said something to you, something meaningful, especially some very strong situations, that has to be digested by the mind. It's just like we eat something. If you eat just some very mild things, digestion is going very easy. If you eat like a lot of heavy stuff like samosas, puris, paneer sabji, you need to digest a lot. You need to sleep more, actually, he said. So in the same way, if you during the day are going through so many situations, you need to have a good sleep to digest. So thus one of the functions of the intelligence is sleep. Another function of the intelligence is nishtha, is to be convinced, to be certain about something. And then comes the next one, which is dridha, which means to be determined, that I'm going to do it, based on the convictions. So if we have strong convictions, then we have strong determination, then we can do it. So in that way it's said that intelligence is controlling our senses. The senses are lying there in our subtle body, in the mind, but the intelligence is pushing and saying, you should go to the right or you should go to the left, according to the strength of the intelligence, according to the discrimination and the conviction. Then we will do our actions accordingly. So in that way, it also will be in the next life. It's said that we have a person called Yamaraj. He's the Lord of Dharma, also the Lord of Death, and he has an assistant called Chitragupta, and they're inside each one of us, and they're collecting all our samskaras. So this Chitragupta especially is the one who has a whole list. So they come down in the subconscious, because we cannot have everything in the conscious. We only have in the conscious usually what we see and hear now. The rest is like stored memory.
Recording was from birth.
From birth, exactly, and even from previous life. But he said from the previous life that karma is usually finished, but a few ones are kept, and that is shaping what we are today. Like what kind of body we have, what kind of skill we have, life situation, what kind of luck or unluck we have is because of things we did in the past, which has to be paid for, you can say. Is payment or reward. So either you get money or you have to pay money, right? So in the same way it's karma. Good karma, you're getting money. Bad karma, you have to pay money. The payment of the money is called distress or unhappiness. Then we pay our debt. When we're getting money, that's called happiness. Then we enjoy good food, good friendships, good health, good weather, whatever. But then that account is going down. So we have to work again. Yeah, nobody can live forever on their laurels. What they did in the past can never last. The only achievement is if you become a devotee of Krishna and you become his next hand man, right hand man. Then you can be promoted to the transcendental place where there is no need to work hard for karma.
Yeah, but then you making an extra bonus karma also.
Yeah, you can say.
Konto.
You can say he can give you still while you're in the material world. He can also give you a good account.
Yeah.
But he doesn't pamper his devotees. So he may give some treatment to his devotees. It may seem a little rough sometimes. He can make his devotees poor or even materially unlucky. But that's just to help them so they can become more dependent on him personally.
Yeah,
otherwise we are very often what you call this, intoxicated by our material success. So often you'll find that devotees are not so materially successful. Like Prabhupada even said, he said Krishna made my business a failure. Prabhupada said about his business. He was having the apotheker business, it's called in English drugstore. Yeah. But it was failing. But I know why it failed actually, because I was reading Prabhupada Lilamrita, and he said that Prabhupada, he just prioritized his preaching. He had his business, but then he kind of downplayed the business for the sake of preaching. Like in the evenings he had lectures. He just was completely absorbed in preaching Krishna prema. So in that way he didn't care so much about his business, and he went more and more like in the background. So that's why it went bankrupt, and he had to just give it up. Yeah.
But, Prabhupada after get actually very good, like I read it, business in Krishna consciousness, this printing of books.
Yeah, printing the books. Yeah.
This was
exactly
amazing.
That's the amazing thing. And in his business also, while he still was using so much money to work with his books and print. And when his business was down, he just took vanaprastha, like a pensioner. Yeah. But in spiritual sense, he was living in Vrindavan, and still he was printing Back to God magazine, and he had to beg from people, and he was practically had no money. Some or other he survived. It's an amazing story. Yeah. So Prabhupada says here, that he mentioned, the Bharat, Maharaj Bharat. You remember the story about him? He was a king first, then he was called Bharat Maharaj, and that's why this earth planet in India still they call it Bharat. Still they call it Bharat. Yeah. So he was a great king, and he in the end, as many great kings in the past, they took vanaprastha. They knew the spiritual life because it was trained like that from the birth. They all went to Gurukul, and got training in the spiritual life also before they became kings. So then he sat and meditate. He just left his king, left everything. In his last year, he just sit and meditate. And then comes he sees a deer who gets miscarriage. It's like the baby is falling out and falling down in the river. And then he's looking. He kind of open up. He hears the noise, and he's looking, and he wants to save this baby. Deer baby. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Bambi. Yeah, Bambi, exactly. Because he has the nature of being a kshatriya. A kshatriya means kshatriya, he protects people from being hurt.
Oh, yeah.
So that he has that inborn nature. So even when he's sitting meditating, just like Krishna told Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna said, I just want to become a sage. I don't want to fight, it's too much. And Krishna says, yeah, you can try and do that, but still by your nature you will have to act like a fighter anyway. And Vishwanath Chakravarti, he comments, that. So then, if Arjuna is in the forest, he tries to meditate, he will try to help the animals, protect the sages. He will be active still as a kshatriya, because he cannot just sit and be peaceful.
Yeah, because
So that's why he should rather fight on the battlefield. And that will be his perfection of yoga, not to sit as a sage. So the teaching is we just have to act according to our nature. And then in the end, still we will be saved. It doesn't matter. There are tons of examples of people who try and live as sages, but they're not able to meditate properly, and they don't go, to heaven or they can even be cursed. And you have tons of examples of people who just work normal job and is a devotee, and they go, back to Krishna.
Yeah.
So it's not about, because this is just one aspect of the reality, the adibhautika, that's our body. That's what we work with, all these things. But that's just one aspect. Next aspect is adidaivaka, that's our mental sphere. The psychic activities, that's higher and more important.
Yeah, that's
so in that way you can be, full devotee in your mind. And then, the adibhautic is not as important. And then the highest level is, of course, the spiritual Adhyatmika level.
Oh, 3 levels.
Yeah. So all 3 of them are covered in the Bhagavad Gita, taken care of.
But which is the most important?
It's Adhyatmika. Adhyatmika means, the level of the spirit, of the Atma.
This is a pure transcendental level.
Pure transcendental level, yeah. So in that way, Prabhupada says here, that he became a deer, Bharat, because he was dying meditating on that deer. Yeah, he became addicted to think about it, take care of that. So he had one full life as a deer. Stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, he was still very careful. He went to the sages and stayed with them.
Wow.
And he's very austere, he just controlled his senses like that. And then next life he became Jada Bharat. Still he had the name Bharat, but now Jada means he's like dull. He appeared like he was unintelligent, but actually he was very intelligent.
Yeah.
But that was just to keep away from everybody else, so he can stay pure in the soul, consciousness. So after that life, he finally got, Siddha. He got spiritual perfection.
He learned.
Yeah.
No lesson.
Yeah. So Prabhupada says here, that if in one's present life one lives in the mode of goodness and always thinks of Krishna, it is possible for one to remember Krishna at the end of one's life. That will help one be transferred to the transcendental nature of Krishna. If one is transcendently absorbed in Krishna service, then his next body will be transcendental, spiritual, not material. Yeah. So that is called, seva, Bhagavad seva, or Guru seva. When serving the Guru, that's the same as serving Krishna.
Yeah.
Therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare is the best process for successfully changing one's state of being at the end of one's life. Yeah. So. Any comments so far? Then we look at the Isopanisad. As you said, you found this 17th verse especially interesting, yeah? Because that says, Vayur anilam amritam atedam basmatam shariram kratos smara kritam smara kratos smara kritam smara. So again the word smara is there, remembrance. So remembrance is very important for our Bhakti Yoga process. It also goes into meditation. In one sense, it's not different from meditation. It's said to remember Krishna's pastimes is the highest, is the Lila Smarana. Yeah. And then you have, before that you have, Shravanam and Kirtanam. You have hearing about Krishna and glorifying Krishna. Shravanam means what we're doing now, both of us, all 4 of us, we're just hearing. I may be reading, but I also hear.
Yeah, you are in process of reading and listening.
Actually, on the spiritual plane, it all becomes one. Actually, that it's all kirtan, it's all glorifying of Krishna. To hear about Krishna is also glorifying Krishna. To chant about Krishna is also glorifying, and even to remember Krishna is also kirtan.
And talk about it.
Yeah, because it's all for the sake of Krishna's. Like for example, Srila Prabhupada, he once said also that. He says in one purport in the Bhagavad that one who was on the altar worshipping Krishna 24 hours a day, that person is also chanting Hare Krishna 24 hours a day. It's absolute platform. Even chanting Hare Krishna and doing service to the deity, on the altar is the same thing.
It's very important.
Yeah. So that's the thing, because what we're doing here, in one sense, is just a reflection of what's going on in the spiritual world. So it means it's like we talked about the shadow energy. Was it before today? When did we talk about that? That's it. Yeah, a replica, Yeah. So it said that this material world is a shadow of the spiritual world. So in that way, our Adibhautika existence is a shadow of our Adhyatmika existence. And in between you have the Adidaivika. Does it make sense? Just like you're sitting now, I can see actually you have a shadow behind you. I can see that.
Like dark shadow.
Yeah, and even our movement, our breathing, even the smell, everything that comes from our body is kind of, the energy of the body. So it's not the body itself, it's the energy of the body. In that way, it's separate from the body, but at the same time, you can say it's part of having a body, is that you have the shadow, you have the smell, you even have radiance. People's bodies are also shining.
Yeah, also emitted electric waves.
And why is all these things coming from the body? It's because the soul is in there, the Atman is in there. So that's why they say, or we can see that when the body is leaving, when somebody so-called die, then the Atman is going out, and then the body starts, the shining disappears from body, the body is not shining anymore, and it just starts becoming, earth. The whole thing is just disappearing gradually.
Yeah, energy disappears.
Yeah, that's
And
the amazing
also
thing.
Temperature.
Yeah. So we give often the example of the fan. When one die, it's like the fan is spinning, and when you take out the power of the fan, it still will spin a little bit. There is some momentum. There is a momentum. Yeah. So to figure these things out before one die, then one can be liberated.
Yeah.
If we don't figure it out before we die, then we may have to take another birth to just continue our journey. There is no need to panic. This is the thing. At the time of death, there is no need to panic. I heard people who work, with people who are dying, and it's like they've seen people who die that they become very scared when they die.
Yeah. They're going going there unknown.
But for devotees, there is no need to be scared. Because Mrityu Sarvarascham, Krishna says in Gita, he is the death, He is the death personified. Krishna is death coming to us. Yeah. It's described, Yamaraj, have you look? It said that, in one Purana, it said, that if you have a person, coming on your door, and you open the door, and he has like a cloak, like a black cape, going all the way down to the feet, and his eyes are red, hot, like angry eyes, and he has, what do you call this? His weapon. In Norwegian, he's called man med jon. So if this person is coming on your door, then now death has come. Yeah. But for a devotee, he will be visited by the four-handed, carriers of Vishnu's airplanes. Vishnu Dutas, yeah. They're beautiful. Yeah.
Or that person can get Yamadutta.
Yeah. Exactly. So the Yamadutas, conversely, they are very ugly, and they're scary.
Yeah.
It said they have unsynchronized eyes. It's uneven. Like big, long ear here and a shorter hair is like, and they carry rope, and they're catching the subtle body of the soul. So the soul is leaving via the subtle body. Is dragged out, the subtle body, with the soul inside. Yeah. So anyway, for a devotee, doesn't need to fear Yamaraj. So that's why, but why is that? It's because he's praying to the Lord. Like we see this nice prayer from Isopanisad 17. He says, let this temporary body be burned to ashes, and let the air of life be merged with the totality of air. Now, O my Lord, please remember all my sacrifices, and because you are the ultimate beneficiary, please remember all that I have done for you. Yeah. He says, please remember me, again and again, Om Kratos Mara, Kritam Smara, Kratos Mara, Kritam Smara. Remember, he called him Krato, means like the supreme enjoyer of all the sacrifices. Yeah. So he's indicating then, that I've done a lot of sacrifices. Yeah. Like Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktaram Yagyatapasam. He says, I am the one who enjoys all the austerities and sacrifices that people are doing. Because he's Suridam Sarvadevanam. He's the friend of all the people in the heart. Yeah. What you said something? Sorry.
No. Just listen.
Yeah. So Prabhupada says, that the temporary material body is certainly a foreign dress. It's like a dress.
Yeah, like a dress.
Vamsam Shijirna Niyata Vihaya. Anyana Shariran. It says, Vasam Shijirna Niyata Vihaya. When we have that body, Vasa, Jirnani, when it becomes old. Yata vihaya, then one is throwing that one away. Yeah. Anyanya samyati yavani dehi. In the same way we're doing when we get a new body, then we throw the old body away. This Krishna is explaining. Just like you have, a jacket. And the jacket is full of holes and becoming useless. Rain is coming in. Yeah. So in the same way, Krishna says, you will change the body. So the thing is, this thing about deha is quite important to understand. Deha means body. And we get body according to what task we're going to do. So it's said, when we're dying, everybody, it said in the Shastra, there's nobody who doesn't, all human beings, they go to Yamaraj. There's nobody who doesn't go to him, because he is a judge. So then one goes to Yamaraj in a specific body for the afterlife. It's called the Preta Deha. It's another Deha, another body. And from there, if one go through punishment, one is going to punish in that body. And also heavenly, reward, one going to heaven also in that body. But it's not really us. It's just a subtle body by which the soul is there to experience. To experience this. So it's not manifest as our gross body. So this is on the Adidaivika level. And then after going through hellish punishment, hellish reward, can be both for some time. Then again one is back to the Adibhautika level. Physical reality. So the soul is going through these stages again and again in the samsara. For each, Adibhautika, you can say period we have. Again we go into the Adidaivika, subtle reality. We go to heaven and hell. We go through, washing, clean a little bit. Then again we get a gross body, and again, we try to do right things. But it's just going in a circle, you can say, until we start to do the bhakti yoga, to get actually entrance to the real level, which is the Adi Atmika level. Yeah, and that is where the pure love is. And from there, that platform, one can have pure love for all the other people also. So Prabhupada says, the temporary material body is certainly a foreign dress. Just like you're in a different country, like you're in a foreign country. Yeah, you belong in Croatia. Yeah. The Bhagavad Gita 2.20 clearly says that after the destruction of the material body, the living entity is not annihilated. So, nor does he lose his identity. Nahanyate hanyamane sharire. Yeah. When the sharira is gone, he is not gone. Nahanyate. The identity of the living entity is never impersonal or formless. On the contrary, it is a material dress that is formless, and that takes a shape according to the form of the indestructible person. No living entity is originally formless, as is wrongly taught by those with a poor fund of knowledge. Yeah. This mantra verifies the fact that the living entity exists after the annihilation of the material body. Yeah. Yeah, so Prabhupada says, it's a material dress that is formless. So that's a statement of Prabhupada is that it's shaped according to the form of the soul inside. In one sense, you can say the Adibhautika level is shaped by the Adidaivika level. How our mind is, that's how we shape our gross body. Yeah, that's also stated in Bhagavad Gita in the 9th chapter. In the 15th chapter. Yeah. Shrutram Shakshu Sparsnam Cha Rasanam Granam Eva Cha Distaya Manas Chevam Vishan Upasevate. Because we have, Vishaya, we have, sense objects for our senses. Say, for example, if one likes to eat meat very much, one may get an animal body, like a tiger, because then you have the very strong teeth to cut over the meat. Smell also, yeah. But if one is vegetarian, one can have a human body or a body of a cow, who has flat teeth. Say, for example, some person, they like very much to be fighting or something like that. They're born in a family who has better physique.
Yeah, aggression also.
Yeah, more aggression in the family. Visha and it says Shrutra, Shakshu. So Shruta is like the hearing sense, Shakshu, seeing power, Sparsha, the touch sensation, Rasanam, the tongue, Granam, the smelling power. Adishya manas chainam. Vishan. So they're all around the mind. Adishtama, they're all situated in the mind. The senses are subtle by nature, and they're in the mind, but the senses are giving outlets through our sense organs. So you have the eye organ. This is not actually our seeing power. It's just our organ for seeing. The seeing power is in the subtle body. Yeah, because when we're dreaming, we can also see. We can also smell,
sure.
right? And especially it's said in the afterlife, in the Preta Deha, in the death body, you can say, then you're seeing, smelling, feeling, pain and pleasure also in heaven and hell. All this is going on in the Adidayvika level. Yeah.
That is subtle level.
That's why it said, you cannot really understand it very much if we're living the gross life here. We cannot understand what's going on in the heavenly planets.
No.
In any of the spirit, we don't have access because we're in the Adibautic consciousness.
This is ghost level, is it?
No, no. That's another thing. Adibautika is the gross human form. We're Jiva Bhuta. We're working with earth, water, fire, air, it.
Yeah.
Actually, the ghosts are also in this Adidayvika level.
Okay.
So in that way, they're more powerful than the human beings. They can mess with life with human beings because they don't have a gross body. But they're suffering because their karma is very bad.
Okay.
So it's just a prison for them. It's just like hellish punishment actually. Ghost is just like being in hell. Yeah. It's not a form of that. Yeah. So anyway, so Prabhupada is saying here that this mantra, it verifies the fact that the living entity exists after annihilation of material body. What did the mantra say? The Isopanisad 17, Vair Anilam Amritam Atedam Basmatam Shariram Krata Smarakritam Smarakritam Smarakritam. He's saying, let this temporary body be burned to ashes. He says, let this temporary body be burned to ashes. So if somebody is praying to Lord, let it be burned to ashes, it means he knows that something is better. It's like, I wouldn't make a prayer, asking my body to be burned, right?
Yeah.
If I didn't know I exist after in another better way, right? It means this is a platform of knowledge. This prayer is made from the platform of knowledge. So this is to inspire us that when we die, we should be on the platform of jnana, of transcendental knowledge. Not actually, it's called Vijnana platform. Vijnanamaya platform means we have realized knowledge that we are different from the body. It's a whole platform called Vijnanamaya Kosha. It's very important in the whole Vedic system. In the Vaishnava epistemology, it is very important to know the difference between jnana and vijnana, because jnana is just theoretical or just material knowledge, but the real knowledge is vijnana. Yeah. Yeah. Any comments?
Means to see.
Huh?
Vidi in Croatian means to see.
Means to see. Yeah. Vidi means to understand. Yes, it's the same thing, to see and understand. Yeah.
But how you go to this stage?
Huh?
How one dies?
How one dies?
Yeah.
It's said that when one dies, it's the Paramatma who go first, and it leading the soul with it. The soul is following after the Paramatma, just like you have the light in the tunnel. So
guiding.
yeah, but then how to reconcile that with the story that Yamaraj is coming? I mean, Yamadutas are coming. I think there are different accounts for each person. For the animal kingdom and plant kingdom, when they die, there is no Yamadutas or Vishnu Dutas. No, they just continue immediately after they get the next reincarnation. Yeah, a dog is dying, it can maybe become a cow in the next life. So and then they become human. There's no visit by Yamaraj because they're already punished.
Yeah.
But human form of life, one is doing activities which give the result, which has to be accounted for, unless one is a devotee, which is doing technically our karma is not doing any karma at all. It's just here to serve Lord. An example is given that you have a prison, and sometimes they're coming to the prison. The people are not the criminals, and they're just coming to help, to give some education or something to the criminals.
Or visiting.
Yeah, visiting. Yeah. So in that way, they are not punished, by what they do they completely,
They go out.
Yeah. So in the same way, sometimes in the material world there are devotees there, and they're simply, Jivan Mukta. They're liberated from the material prison. And it's said that one can become like that by becoming a devotee. If you're only working on the mission of Krishna, then nothing is sticking on you. So he said it's just like the lotus flower, lotus leaf, that you can have the water on it, but it just repels. This example is given by Krishna. Otherwise, this attachment to this body is covering the consciousness very much. Yeah, because the mind, is having is a breeding ground of desires. Just new and new desires just cook up. But here's a very nice trick we have as devotees. When you try to be devotees, we're connecting all our desires with Krishna. Yeah, some or other we think, okay, I want to do this, but then some or other is the train of thought is linked to Krishna. So it's like, I want to have a job, I want to earn money. It seems to be a material. But then, because then I will have a nice situation, so, I can be nice in the spiritual consciousness. I can have my devotee friends visit. Some or other one is linking. And then I will also have time to study. If I have a job, I will have a good situation. More peace. I can study, I can chant. I can build up my life. So in that way, nothing need to be material for a devotee. Because otherwise everything is material, actually. No matter how you put it, even, constructing temple and do temple worship, that's also material because it has a beginning and end. The definition of material is Adi Anta Vanta. It's Adi and Anta. Has beginning and end. Not Teshuram.
What does it mean?
Adi means beginning and Anta means end. I talked about that another time also.
But what's it altogether?
Adi means, so Adi Anta Vanta. Adi Anta Vat. So it means like it has the nature of being, that it has a beginning and end. And what has a beginning and end?
Create and destroy.
Yeah. You can say it's created and it's destroyed there. So that's another way to say it's anitya. I talked about this before also. You have 4 different concepts in regards to time of an object. So one is nitya, it's eternal. That's very easy to understand. It was never created, it is never destroyed. So that's the spiritual world as it is. And that's the Atman also. The Atman, the soul is anitya.
Transcendental.
Yeah, transcendental.
This is Nitya.
Yeah. Yeah, nitya. Yeah, sorry. And then what is anitya? That is all the material objects, because they are created and they are destroyed. But as we discussed yesterday when we talk about the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, now here comes the trick, because the material elements themselves are actually eternal. The Mahatattva is containing earth, water, fire, air, ether, because everything is original and spiritual. So earth, water, fire, and ether are actually eternal. But the mixture of them, say for example, this bag is created by earth, water, fire, air, ether. So mind you, when you talk about earth, we talk about everything that's solid. This has been stated in one of the Upanishads. It represents all the solid objects. Water represents all the liquid objects, all the liquids. Yep. And then fire, it represents all the hot, all the fiery objects. And then you have air. It represents everything that's moving, and gaseous objects, everything like that is in the And then you have a space that represents all the ether, space. Yeah. So whenever you have a hole in our body, that's created by the space element. Yeah. The whole body is created by all these 5 elements. So the body is temporary, because it's a temporary creation, combination of these. But the original building blocks, they are actually eternal.
This is energy.
Yeah, because this material energy is eternal, because it says it's one fourth of the spiritual universe. It has this material, place, side to it. Yeah.
This is a matter and antimatter mix of creation. Universe.
Yeah, you can say the antimatter, the spiritual, it's just doing its own thing there, and then you have just one section is dedicated to have material things, and that's the place where Mahavishnu is lying down. He has his yoga nidra, his mystical sleep. In that sleep, all the jivas are created, so-called created. It's called the Srishti Leela. It's the creation Leela of the Lord. Mahavishnu has a Leela where he's creating people out of his dream state, and here we are. Because we have, our bodies is like this dream creation. It's created by temporary combination of all these elements, and again it's going to be dispersed and create another body.
So we are
So the-
created by dream.
Well, the dream state of Vishnu, Yoga Nidra, yeah. But we are actually, that's the thing, it's because of the Maya Shakti, the illusory energy, it looks like we are created, but actually we're not. Because we are, the soul is Nitya. The Atman, we are actually eternal. So now here comes the thing. So now I explained two of the concepts of time, like objects, which have, one is, Nitya, it's eternal, another one is Anitya. Now comes the third one. You have Anadi, it has no beginning. And what has no beginning is the jivas, entanglement with the material nature. The jiva is eternal material nature.
It was added,
It's actually also eternal. And their entanglement it doesn't have any start. It's called Anadi. So this is inconceivable to our brain, So how long we've been here, we don't know. It's Anadi.
Yeah,
But does it feel
time
end?
exists?
Yes, it has an end. That's the point. So when we are getting, free from this entanglement with matter and we go to spiritual world, that's completely natural because this entanglement we had with material nature is Anadi. It didn't have any beginning, but it does have an end. And then when we go to the spiritual world, then there is another stage called Ananta. Ananta. So that doesn't have an end.
They have no beginning, no end.
No, it's Ananta. Ananta means no end.
No end.
It has a beginning.
It has beginning.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing.
But no end.
But no end there. Yeah.
It's,
So there's 4 different concepts: Nitya, Anitya, Anadi, and Ananta. Yeah. So it's a very mind-boggling concepts about time.
And how the another was, if it has another has a beginning,
No, not Ananda.
which
See, it's good you ask because Ananda means happiness. It means bliss. You talk about Ananta. Anta. Anta means end. Just like you have Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Vedanta. Bhakti Veda Anta is the end of all the knowledge about Bhakti. That's what Srila Prabhupada represents. So Anta, that means end. So Anta means no end. Yeah. So when we go to spiritual world, there is no end. Means never coming, back to the material world.
So we stay in eternal.
Yeah, because it doesn't have any end.
Yeah.
That means it's never going to stop.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
stay in
but,
eternity.
but it has a beginning.
Yes.
And as it has a beginning,
Yeah.
who begins it? Who began it?
That's a good question.
Because if it has a beginning,
Yeah.
who did that?
Well,
And how was it?
must be Krishna.
And how
Yeah.
did Krishna begin?
Yeah. So then you can ask,
This is something you will.
So maybe there is no beginning.
no, but then it will not be called Ananta. Then okay, you can call it Nitya. That's okay. You can just change the category. I'm just mentioning that there are these 4 categories. You have to choose which one you will put a label on. I'm just throwing the ball back to you.
I think these things we're gonna know when we come back.
Yeah. Like that.
No risk for this question.
Yeah, you're gonna know because your brain cannot understand this in this the dimension we are now.
Everything is
Really
present.
complicated.
Huh?
Everything is in present. Even
Yeah.
future and time we are going, past. We are talking about now.
Well, this
It
level,
happens in present. Now. It's now.
In present, actually, only things are happening.
yeah.
Really. The memory is a smaran is important for bhakti because smaran is in mundane love also that the male and female they remember about each other. This is growing, the priti, which is the affection,
Yeah.
and we're supposed to have affection for Krishna. That's why you need to have a lot of remembrance about Krishna. So that's why I said we should remember Krishna's pastime. We should have lila smaran, for example, remember Krishna's lila. And we can remember Leela of other devotees also, like Prabhupada's Leela, Leela Amrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Charitamrita, yeah, and the Amrita of Chaitanya's pastimes. All this is helping. And you can say sometimes people are saying, "Oh, you're just you're just into stuff that happened before,"
Yeah.
and they can say, "I'm living now." Yeah, but we're also living now. But actually, all of these parts, they will say they subscribe to some other person who said, live here now. But they're reading a book which was written before.
Yeah.
It says you should live here now. If you're really going to follow this, you won't read the old book.
Yeah.
You will not care about any book at all. You just be here now, right?
True.
But to be on that level, one has to be completely liberated. Like Narad Muni. Narad Muni is not carrying a book with him. Narad Muni is Narad Muni. Huh? He don't need. He is the transcendental spaceman. He's a Shakti Avesha avatar of the Bhakti Shakti.
Yeah.
Bhakti Shakti Avesha avatar. So he's just giving Bhakti wherever he goes. When he speaks the books. He has the book inside of him. It's like Narad Muni is giving the Narad Pancharatra. It's all the teachings about how we should worship Krishna, how we should have Bhakti. Narada Bhakti Sutra. I think Prabhupada translated half of that book. And his disciple translated the next half. It's like Narad Muni is just talking about Bhakti, the whole essence.
It's a problem with time. Before internet, no? Now you write somebody SMS or message, he receives immediately, no? In the same time.
People are receiving now messages in the real time.
Yeah, but now, let's say 100 years ago, I write you a letter about his time when he's writing now. You receive in 2 weeks, and then you are reading it in his time, but you are reading about past time of the other guy who wrote you letter. Let's say.
Yeah.
So that's a problem because.
Why is it a problem?
Because now it's different. Now, it's immediately transformed. Information is transformed.
You can say so. In that way, internet is a good idea then to work here now.
Yeah, maybe.
For material prosperity, for material efficiency, you could say maybe internet is a good idea. But for spiritual life, it's better to work by the tradition.
Yeah, I agree.
There is no problem to read what people have written in the past. As you said, past time is a pastime. Yep?
Yeah.
So it's good because we're all into pastimes.
Yeah.
It's no problem for us to live in the past because that's a pastime. Yeah.
The moment you say it's past, yeah.
So it's very. You see, the thing is that it's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
If something nice happened in the past, one like to cherish that and remember it again and again and again.
Yeah. Somebody told me
That's like very nice for love.
Like romantic or something.
Yeah.
It was actually not romantic and not so nice for them. But now we look back, like they say 70s were fantastic or 20s between second and first.
Yeah, it's actually, this is part of art also. You kind of paint the past in a nice way. It's like you repainted it.
Yeah.
And you make it into poetry, you make it into something beautiful. And that's very nice. So that's why what the devotees are doing with Krishna's pastimes also. They may rewrite the pastimes, even some poets did, devotee poets. And it's still real. It's the same thing, just embellish, they just pack it out. Like Rupa Goswami and all the Goswami, they just more, talk about Krishna's pastimes. They're expanding them.
Mm-hmm. More information.
Yeah. You can say more appreciation also.
Yeah, appreciation.
It's the same thing that you can say, I can go out and I can look at the moon. And I can just tell you, I can come in and I say, I saw the moon. But if I'm poetic, I will say, I saw the moon, it was shining,
Yeah, more.
And I try and find some nice,
more beautiful language.
Yeah, it was like I'm not feeling so poetic. Yeah, but you know what I mean. It was shining like a jewel. Its rays was like, penetrating the darkness in my heart. Can keep on going, and that from one short sentence, I saw the moon. It can become a whole book even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's why it said, that this Srimad Bhagavatam is poetry in motion. It's actually poetry.
Uh-huh.
And the most important thing to take home from the Bhagavatam, it is the bhakti part.
Okay.
And all the information you can say, that's secondary,
Prema Bhakti.
Prema Bhakti is the thing to take from Bhagavatam. Mm-hmm. And all the other things are just supposed to support that. And, be ornaments to that. Yeah. So you can say, the Isopanisad is like a very Upanishadic book. It means it's short. And you kind of have to meditate and pack out the meaning yourself and with the help of the commentaries. But Srimad Bhagavatam is long. Because it's poetry in motion. It's so many verses telling again and repeating in different ways from different angles. So it becomes 18,000 verses. Here you have only 18 verses. Bhagavatam is 18,000. So you take the Isopanisad 18 verses and you times 1,000, you have Srimad Bhagavatam. So in that way it's fleshing out the concept.
108, 118.
Yeah, 18 is also a very important number in in Vedic, in Hindu culture, because you have the Mahabharata. It was fought in 18 days. Mahabharata has 18, parts also. The word 18 is important, yeah.
And Mahabharata is Upanishads are part of Mahabharata.
No, they're not part of Mahabharata. Upanishads are part of the 4 Vedas. Yeah. But yes, it's true. You have one Upanishad. There are a couple of so-called Upanishads coming out of Mahabharata, and one of them is the Gita itself. We call it Gita Upanishad. It's like an Upanishad. Actually, Bhagavad Gita has a lot of Upanishadic language, but not everything, but very often. So in that way, there are a few verses in the Gita which tally with the Upanishads, like completely the same actually.
Yeah.
And this one is also fitting very nicely. Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tyajati anta kalevaram tam tam eva dekantya sadatat bhava bhavita. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. That is very much tallying with the Isopanisad verse, which says please remember whatever I have done when I give up my body. Yeah.
But can I ask you something which I've asked somebody else? Explain that name Krishna. I haven't read it like in Bhagavad Gita. I read it that say I'm God and my name is Krishna. It doesn't say what I read. My name is Krishna.
Who doesn't say my name?
God doesn't say my name is Krishna in Bhagavad Gita.
Krishna doesn't say that his name is Krishna.
I haven't read it, maybe you know.
In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna doesn't mention his own name. It's true. It's true.
Is it true? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? And then.
But other places it's mentioned.
It's mentioned, yeah.
I mean, I read the Mahabharata, most of it now, and it's mentioned many times. It's, for example, one place it said that the 2 Krishnas, they were going, to sit by the Kalindi river. And then came the personification of that river, was a beautiful girl. Yeah. And said the 2 Krishnas were sitting by the river. They had, nice friendly pastimes. And they're called the 2 Krishnas because Arjuna is also a Krishna. Because he's so much a friend with Krishna. Yeah. In the same way, Draupadi, she also liked Krishna very much. She was also a friend with Krishna. So she was also called Krishna, but with a long A because it's female. So she called Krishna. Yeah. It's actually amazing. Draupadi is also a friend of Krishna, just like that. He's a friendly little rasa. Yeah. Because, one time Krishna was, cutting his finger, and Draupadi was tearing off a piece of sari and bandaging Krishna's finger, so he should not bleed. And then, Krishna, he pay back, you can say, like in a nice way, he reward that. When Krishna was, when Draupadi was in the assembly hall when they had the gambling match, and Yudhishthir and the Pandavas, they were actually was Yudhishthir was agreeing to have the gambling match, and they were gambling the whole kingdom away, and even then he was even gambling Draupadi away. so then Draupadi was taken by the Kauravas, and they tried to disrobe her, but then she called for Krishna's help. And then Krishna, he came and he, like in his, you can say, subtle body, he just supplied unlimited sari to Draupadi. So you have the picture, she holding her hand up, because first she tried to keep, this rascal away from taking her sari, but she couldn't do. Then she just prayed to Krishna to help her, and then Krishna just gave unlimited sari. So it became a whole, what do you call it? A whole mountain of saris. And each of the saris was, individually composed with nice, design and patterns and everything. When one sari was finished, another sari start. Yeah, it was very beautiful to see. And this was all, Krishna. He just gave, and so he was, friendly with her. She was friendly with him. He was friendly with her. Yeah.
But what is the connection between Yudhishthira and Draupadi?
Yudhishthira is husband of Draupadi.
Yeah.
Actually, it's Arjuna is the original husband. There was a Swayamvar of Draupadi. She was going to be married away. And actually, Draupadi is the daughter of Drupada. So Drupada, he had a sacrifice because he wanted actually to kill his old friend, who he became enemy of his old friend. What was the name of the friend? Drupada and Drona. So Dronacharya is actually the instructor guru of all the Pandavas and the Kauravas in the art of fighting. So Drupada was another kshatriya in another kingdom. Actually, Dronacharya was originally a Brahmana, but he took part in the fight, so he became degraded to be a kshatriya. So anyway, so Dronacharya, he wanted to kill him actually. So he did a sacrifice, and out of that sacrifice came Drishtadyumna. He's also mentioned in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Drishtadyumna was just created on that fire sacrifice. He came out of the fire completely with all his armor, even on a chariot. Celestial birth, just born out of the fire.
Wow.
And then also the girl was also born from there, Draupadi. And it's explained in her previous life, she was doing a sacrifice to Lord Shiva, and she was praying, please give me a good husband. And she did so much tapasya, meditation, and then Shiva finally came. Okay, Shiva came and, what can I do for you? And she said, please give me a good husband. 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 And they say, okay, you will have 5 good husbands.
Oh.
But she said, well, how can I cope with this? Is it too much? And he said, don't worry, in the next life you will be born in a rich family, you'll be a princess. So don't worry, next life. So next life, in next life she's born out of the fire as Draupadi. And then she has a Swayamvar. So Swayamvar means when she's getting married, all the princes are coming, they're competing, who is the best. So then it's the task, to shoot to look on the eye of the fish. It was like a machine is circling inside the wheel. He should shoot the eye of it, and he should look down in the mirror of that, in the water. He should, without looking up, he should just look in the mirror and shoot. Very difficult, yeah. So Arjuna was the only one who was able to hit, the eye of the fish. Yeah, with bow and arrow. So that's why he got her. And then when he comes home, you see this all arranged by Lord. Still, she only has one husband, yeah? But then he comes home. Arjuna comes home, and Draupadi is there. And the other 4 brothers, they're out somewhere, trying to get some food or whatever. They were hunting, they were eating meat sometimes, This is how to be a kshatriya, Anyway, so as far as I heard, at least. But anyway, so she is saying, so Arjuna said, I'm home, mother, I'm home. I brought something with me. I brought something, and then, Kunti says, okay, whatever you brought with you, share it with your brothers. Yeah. She thought maybe he has brought some food, Share it with your brothers. But then Arjuna said, but wait a minute. She just repeated, share it with your brothers. Okay, I'll do it. And they see here, it's Draupadi. Oh. So Arjuna said, maybe you want to change, your... No, she says, I'm sorry, I didn't know this. But then Arjuna was saying, no, I'm... Kshatriyas at that time, they were very if they said something, they just followed. So Draupadi said, oh, I didn't mean, I told you. But Arjuna said, no, I promised, I share whatever I brought home with my brothers. So then all of the brothers became married to Draupadi. So she got 5 husbands.
But they were her brothers. But they her brothers.
No. Arjuna's brothers. Arjuna has 4 brothers. It's Arjuna, Yudhishthira, which you all remember. Yeah. He's the oldest brother. He is a leader of all the Pandavas. Then you have Bhima. He's a strong. He's double as big as all the others. He's carrying all the other Pandavas and Kunti when they're in the forest. And he's also eating. When he's eating, he is eating half, and all 4 others and Kunti they're eating the other half. Yeah, it's called Vrikodara. He's a very great fighter and eater. Vrika Udara. Udara means belly, and Vrika means wolf belly.
This is Bhima, you said.
Bhima, yeah.
Vrika is different.
Vrika means a wolf. It's just a nickname.
But Bhima is who? Is the strongest?
Yeah, Bhima. He's called Vrikodara in Bhagavad Gita. Vrikodara means wolf belly, just like in Norwegian they say, jeg er sulten som en ulv. It's Norwegian. Hungry as a wolf. Yeah.
Yeah, Bhagavatam, yeah. We say in Croatia as well.
Oh, right there, exactly. Yeah. So Draupadi was she had 5 husbands.
Please half of whatever you already stand.
Yeah. But in the end, when they were dying, since today's topic is the dying, they were walking. Kshatriyas is not supposed to take sannyas. Kshatriya is just supposed to take vanaprastha. Sannyas is only for brahmanas, right? So the prescription for the Kshatriyas, one of the ways they can do is just walk to the north, without stopping, without looking back. Just walk until you fall flat. So all the Pandavas and Draupadi just follow after. And all of them just, in the end it was just Yudhishthira walking to the north. Actually it said the north, if you go higher up, you can come to the heavenly abodes. Yeah. So it was probably not in Norway. I mean, it was the north in India.
Not easy.
Yeah.
Come up in the Himalayas.
Yeah, come
Yeah.
Himalayas.
Huh?
We have friends with Yudhishthira.
You have a friend which, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now Yudhishthira is also in Norway. Yeah, very good. Very good. Sometimes we actually call him Yudhishthira Maharaj because we just forget, because it's always in the Bhagavatam it said Yudhishthira Maharaj. It's like So anyway, so he was walking, and then there came a dog following him. So then, Yudhishthira, okay, he didn't throw away, he didn't, try to get rid of the dog. He thought a nice dog, All his brothers were dead. He was happy to have some company. He just walk, and then he became very weak, and he felt, now I'm about to die. And then came, Indra was there and welcome, to the gates of heaven, high up in the mountain. Now welcome, to enter, the higher realm. Okay, so Yudhishthira said, very nice, I take my dog with me. And Indra said, what is this, this is very, dog is a very sinful, low creature, this and that. He gave a whole lecture, about how bad it is to be attached to a dog, And then Yudhishthira said, no, I'm not going to heaven if I cannot bring my dog. And then, what happened? Then the dog, it transformed, and it became actually, his real form of the dog was actually his father, Dharmaraj. And then Dharma said, I was just, appearing as a dog just to test you. Because you cannot actually get to heaven if you don't have compassion for the living entities. Wow. This is the way to get to heaven. If you have such compassion, you're willing to sacrifice your entrance to heaven for the sake of helping others. Then you can go to heaven only.
Oh, wow.
Yeah?
According to this also, if you have...
So say it again,
yeah. So Dharma, he told
please, say it again,
his son, because Yudhishthira is actually born of Dharmaraj. He has a divine father. So that's why he's so good at following Dharma,
This
justice.
Dharma.
Yeah. So Dharmaraj said to him, Yudhishthira, because you follow this, now you can go to heaven, because actually a person who doesn't have compassion and wants to protect, the innocent, that person cannot go to heaven actually. Who just, egoistic, who just wants to go himself to heaven, he will not go to heaven. But those who want other people to go to heaven, to help others, not caring about himself, really to sacrifice himself for helping others to heaven, that person will go to heaven.
To make them also knowledge of Krishna.
That's the point. One has to be completely surrendered. That, only care for the welfare of others. Naturally, of course, oneself will go. But if I think I'm not doing all this for my, own,
myself,
my own, enlightenment, my own, promotion to heaven, this is usually where one goes wrong, because then it becomes the ego trip, like a journey, ego journey. Yeah?
Actually, is it?
Yeah. So that's a very wonderful teaching there. So in that way, if one is actually doing this bhakti yoga practice with the welfare of other people in mind, then one may, be remembered by the Lord. Like, this prayer is saying, please, remember all my sacrifices. Yeah. So you think the Lord only likes to remember if we just did some sacrifice for Him, some fire sacrifice, rituals. He's so impressed. He's more impressed if you do sacrifice for helping others, right? I think the same thing is in there. I think the same thing is in the Bible, isn't it? You know the Bible. They were doing some sacrifices, yeah. I think fire sacrifices are all also did there, yeah.
There is a big book by this Peter Brown who wrote about Saint Augustine. The book is titled it's the eye of the needle. That's one proverb from the Bible.
Yeah.
It's easier for the animal to go through the eye of the needle than the rich man to the heaven.
Exactly.
To the kingdom of God or something like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
they were in that. He was telling. I was on the seminar. He was telling that, like, people who were rich and before they died, they would go to the priest and they will pay him a lot of money, just like to give him a lot of money just to get like he will give them entrance to the kingdom of God.
I see.
Something like that. Yeah.
They will give all their wealth to the church before they die.
Yeah, or a lot of that.
That's nice, yeah.
No, but this is not price they're gonna pay.
Of course, but it's a start, you can say.
They were convinced that it can work.
Yeah. I mean, welfare is one of the things which is recommended as a pious activity to please the Lord. I mean, Krishna says in Bhagavad, Yagya Dana Tapa Kriya.
This is one of Yagya.
Yeah, to do tapa and to do sacrifice. Tapa means austerities. Like for example, I say I can have austerity. I have not drink Coca-Cola. Yeah, this is austerity. It's good to have some austerity in some way or other. Otherwise, we're just hedonistic. Yeah, and yaga means we're working, we're sacrificing ourselves in this way or that way. And then dana, it means to give a gift in charity, such as the person who was about to die, he gave all his wealth to the church. This is dana. It's very good.
Dana.
D-I-N-A. Dana.
Danak is in Turkish.
Yeah.
Danak is the same.
It means to give gifts. Yeah.
Danak and Haraj and these are the Danak. You have to pay Danak. It means like you have to pay some money to.
Yeah. It said that this is actually main sacrifice, you can say, or a pious thing to do in the age of Kali. It's most easy for everybody to do, to just give the gifts, to give donation, charity.
Gift. Yeah, that is gift. Yeah.
That's one of the main things, common things, and especially those who do are the grihastas, of course, because the renounced people they don't have wealth to give.
Mm-hmm.
They can give the knowledge by spiritual purity.
Shudra can give physically help.
Physically help, yeah. Exactly.
And seva, like seva.
Seva, yeah. Shudra, I mean, everybody should do seva.
Yeah.
Actually,
seva in Sanskrit.
Huh?
Yeah,
seva.
We say in Bosnian seva.
In Bosnian, seva means service.
Seva, yeah, I almost say it, seva.
It's exactly the same. Seva.
Seva, we say sevap.
Or sevap, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay.
But it's very similar.
It's 100% same. It's coming from the same place.
Yeah.
Funny. Yeah. We have a lot of words from Veda, from Sanskrit.
But this words are from Turkish language, and they are coming through through Iran, to Sanskrit.
It's called Indo-European language.
Yeah.
So I guess already when they made that term, they knew that.
Like civilization, we coming from this Arya.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that way, we have a great teaching here that we can try and be inspired to follow. It's a consciousness of the afterlife is incredibly important for a human being. Yeah. Dharmena hina pashubi samana. Otherwise, if you don't have any dharma, we're practically on the same level as the animals. Yeah.
Just following this principle of eating, having
exactly.
sex and like drug, like animals doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, was this also philosopher who died on the day 100 years ago, Rudolf Steiner, who was born in Croatia. He mocked these tiny schools. He said there are like 3 stages of folks of people. One is Findungsseele, means senses. I hit you, you hit me.
Yeah.
The other is, what's the other? Verstandenseele. Verstehen means to understand. No, sorry. The second is Bewusstseinsseele. Bewusstsein means to be conscious.
Yeah.
To be aware of what's happening. And the third is this understanding. So first level is like senses, second is
understanding,
consciousness, and the third is understanding. Like United Nations, they understand what's happening, they go there and make peace. They understand that. But the second is conscious, bewusst.
Which is the highest, the third or the second?
For him, is understanding the highest.
I think it sounds a little bit similar to Adibautic, Adhyatmic, and Adibautic, Adidaivic, and Adhyatmic, which I spoke about in the beginning. Adibautic is a physical level. Yeah. Somebody hit you, you hit them. It's very gross, like animals. Animals don't have Adidaivic very much. They're just very gross. They don't even share their food.
Adhyathic.
Adibautic is the first one, physical level. That's usually where the animals are operating. Yeah. You put some food to birds, they don't share. They just very cruel, very cruel.
Even so, a cat is eating and keeping away
Yeah.
that other cat.
Very cruel.
Yeah.
And then Adidaivic, that's usually the human level where we have our consciousness from the mind. We are thinking. It's also called Manumaya level.
Yeah.
We're very much on the mental plane. We care about the minds of people, what they think, likes and dislikes. We have culture, philosophy. Yeah. But then the higher level is the Adhyatmic level, and that's the level of spiritual understanding, and that we see, the divine, plan, and we try and see beyond, the
Astral. He's calling it astral, I think.
Yeah, astral, exactly. Of course, usually Western philosophers, they don't go beyond the astral place. I mean, we go to the
more transcendental.
Transcendental place. It's actually said to be above the astral, but astral is closer to that plane now. Astral is the place of the demigods and the higher level, where the higher karma is acting.
The first is action reaction.
You can say higher in that way, that one tries to have a deeper understanding and not just direct. It's like the science of cause. What is the cause?
Yeah.
Because one way that's also covered in the Bhagavatam, where the cow is hit by a person. The cow is hit, and Maharaj Parikshit is coming and say, "Who hit you, and why are you hit?" And then the cow is very philosophical and says, "Maybe I'm hit because of my own action. Is a reaction to my own action in the past."
Oh.
He's thinking deeper, that I'm just hit by my own reaction.
Yeah.
So it's just who is hitting me is actually my own karma. It's not actually the person. So in that way, it's said, the person is just instrumental. He's not the actual hitter. The actual hitter is a reaction to my own.
Adi Baltic, Adi Daivic, and Adi
Atmic.
Atmic.
Yeah. So Adi Atmic is what we're trying to really go for, because that's the same as these verses we mentioned here, that to try and remember the Lord in love, that is Adhyatmic level. Because that means to cultivate a relationship.
Yeah, and the knowledge is somewhere also in philosophy. I think it's from Aristotle that knowledge is actually remembrance.
Knowledge is remembrance.
Remembrance.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, without remembrance, you probably will not have so much knowledge.
Animals don't have.
Well, it's something called physical remembrance also.
Yeah.
Like when you learn to bike, you learn to cycle the bike. That's physical remembrance. It's in your body, you remember.
Homework you must learn.
Yeah.
By heart.
Yeah. So in one sense, the soul's engagement with bhakti is natural. Yeah. And the engagement with material nature, you can say, is unnatural. Yeah. If you take into account, the nature of the soul is to be a spirit. Yeah.